going. I heard Jeff Bezos of Amazon talking in 2018 the Economic Club of Washington, and he was talking. They were asking him about sleep, or he was talking about sleep and how much sleep is necessary, and he was talking about making decisions and stuff like that. And part of that conversation. So let me give you the full context in case you haven't heard the conversation. So he said, I sleep 8 hours a day. I like to start meetings. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. He likes to start meetings, like if he needs to make important decisions. He likes to do them at 10 in the morning rather than after 5 o'clock. If it hits 5 o'clock, he's like, yeah, let's leave this till later. And he says that this is very important. Getting the 8 hours of sleep a day is extremely important to him. He likes to have breakfast with his kids. He likes to, he doesn't. He's not of the mentality that you should be, working yourself to death in order to do well. And he expects the same of his executives. And now, this is not the revelationary part for me. I think that there's a lot of documentation about why getting enough sleep is very important. And in terms of, your health, in terms of your mindset and so on. But he does a little calculation where he goes, me and my executives need to make a very small handful of very important, high quality decisions, right? And that those decisions that they would have to make, it's not about quantity, it's about the quality of those decisions. And so, for instance, if you got 4 hours of sleep and you got, and he does this calculation where basically, okay, so if you would normally be able to make 100 decisions, and then these 4 hours of sleep would give you a little bit more. If you get more productivity out of that, you might be able to make 133 decisions. But I don't need to make 133 decisions. I need to make a very small handful of decisions, and everything really counts on those decisions being excellent decisions. And the reason why is because they're not working, and he says neither he nor his executives are working in the current quarter. They're not working on now. They're working 2-3 quarters, 2-3 years ahead. And this is actually the revelationary part. Now, he's not the first person or the only person I've heard this from. And I've heard of different, so obviously Amazon is not really a business that you or I are going to model our business about at this point. Amazon is a very well-established company, and I'm sure that when he started out, he wasn't just working, he wasn't making just a small handful of quality decisions per day. This is where he's at today. I heard another guy, I forget who, but another billionaire founder talking about a similar idea, and he was saying that you at the first part of the business, in the early days of the business, you are going to have to micromanage. You're going to be basically, a lot of the work is going to end up falling on you and on your co-founders and so on. But that decision, there's a certain point at which your business turns around, and now you have to switch role from being somebody who is very much at the forefront of the business to somebody who is more in a managerial role, and you are trying to get the best out of your people instead of the best out of yourself. So this is a key distinguisher. So we can't actually take this as a model for ourselves. I think that sometimes you're going to need to, burn the candle at both ends, or whatever the expression is, and you're going to have to work really hard. You're going to need to stay up really late and work. And I've heard, a lot of these billionaire founders talk about their early days and how they would basically work from, until they were tired. They would sleep until they were no longer tired, and they would keep working, and they would just work really hard. So that is, it is important to recognize that in the early days you are hustling, you are trying to do everything, and I don't want to distract from that. But here's what was cool about what Bezos added to the conversation, and he said, we go into a quarterly meeting, and we get, when we come out, we get congratulated. People come up to me, shake hands, and say, congratulations on a beautiful, very good quarter. And he goes, but we're always working 2 or 3 years out. And so, of course, it turned out that way. It's like we planned it to turn out this way. And we planned it 2-3 years ago, and it turned out exactly how we planned. And we are now working 2 or 3 years ahead. This is, why is this important? I don't think that you necessarily need to be thinking 2 or 3 years ahead in your business. I think for most of us at the stage that we're at in our businesses is not a stage that really is constructive for us to be thinking 2 or 3 years out. I think for most of us would be dreaming rather than actually working. So no, 2-3 years out in terms of your business is not really what I'm advocating here. But what was interesting is this idea of how we design our websites and our marketing. You see, I like to think of putting together your marketing as kind of like party planning, right? If you're going to hold a party, you're going to have a dinner party, for instance. It doesn't unfold the way that it unfolds for the guest, for you as the person who is putting on the party, right? So the guests will turn up. They're going to see the way that you've decorated the entryway, for instance. If you've put some incense, for instance, if you're burning some incense, you've got some candles, whatever. They're going to see you all dressed up nicely and greeted at the door. They walk in, they're going to sit down, you're going to offer them something to drink, you're going to offer them whatever, and so on and so forth. The entire night is planned ahead. But when you actually built that experience, I mean, at least in my home, and I know maybe some of you don't really identify with what I'm talking about, but in my home, my wife is one of those wives who she will pull out all the stops. She's planning a dinner, a regular, and we have dinner invitations often at our home. She'll plan it out typically at least a week in advance. She will not have people over, who are like, oh, hey, why don't you swing by tomorrow and have dinner? There's none of that at my place. It's always like, hey, hey, why don't you come over? What time suits you next weekend? Something like that. It's always like that. So, it'll start out with her she'll plan out the course, like what the meal courses are going to be, what she's going to be presenting. She'll discuss it with me. We'll talk about different options. What starters are we going to have? What are we going to do for desserts, and so on and so forth. And by the way, we're not talking about having king or queen over to the house. This is like sometimes one of our friends is a neighbor of ours who's a student, and he'll come by and she would have gone through all of this effort. That like she's cool like that. She's badass. So this is sort of how it goes. And then of course the first thing that they see is typically the last thing that we put together. The burning incense at the door, that's not something that she does, on a week out. She does that like just before the guests arrive. Getting dressed and picking out her clothes and doing her hair and makeup and whatnot. That's not something that's done, before she's cooked. She's cooked all the food, everything is ready, and then she gets herself prepared. Cleaning the house is not something that just doesn't like clean the house the week before and then it stays clean, or just whatever it's usually there's a couple of cleans, but there's a couple of cleans before the guests will show up. But the last one would be, literally almost just before they would turn up, and so on and so forth. And so this is how we build our websites. That's how you should be building your websites. You already know what's going to happen when the guest gets there. You can't just go in there and be like, oh, I need traffic, I'm going to turn on some Facebook ads. Like, where are you going to turn on your Facebook ads to? Sorry, what do you have? Oh, I've got a landing page. Okay, and then what? What happens when they get to your landing page? What's the next step? Well, after they get to your landing page, they're going to fill out their email address, and then what? Then what? They're going to get on my mailing list. What do they get when they get on your mailing list? I don't know. You're going to get a welcome email. That's what they're going to get. And then what? I'm going to show them my sales page. No, you're not going to show them your sales page. You're going to be emailing them several times before you get them to look at your sales page. And by the way, you would have had to have written your sales page. You would have had to figure out what product you're going to be selling to them, and so on and so on and so forth. And that entire experience of, okay, then they buy your product, and then what? What's the next thing? They need to have There's got to be an email, a fulfillment email. They've got to get like some sort of a thank you page that tells them that, okay, cool, we've received your order. We're gonna, fulfill it in this way, or here's how to access your stuff, or whatever it is. And then once they've done that, what's next? Oh, we're gonna, move them to a different list where now we're gonna market to them some of our high end offers. And so you would have had to figure out what your high end offer is and how you're gonna make money, and so on and so forth. So many parts would have had to have been worked out ahead of let's turn on traffic and get people to your site. Because if you think of traffic as basically you've given out the dinner invitations, right? And now people are coming over to your place, right? The moment that you turn traffic on, it's like it takes minutes for the traffic to start turning up at your door. So that's like, if you're not ready, if you haven't prepared everything for their arrival, they're going to have a crappy time. Right? They're not going to have an enjoyable time. But when you've planned out everything before they turn up and then you turn on the traffic, that is when they have a really good time. They have a good experience and they go through everything and they arrive on the other end. And so, of course, they're going to convert. Of course, they're going to buy because you figured it, you did this, you sorted this out before. Just like Bezos was saying about how, he'd have a really good quarter. Of course, he's going to have a good quarter because he figured out everything before that quarter actually turned up, right? They've already figured out how they're going to have a good quarter, and they did it, and this is 2-3 years before. And they had 2 or 3 years to perfect whatever plan they had in the meantime. All right? And so in the same way, this is what you should be doing with your business. And that is why the super traffic machine, if you take a look at how we built it in exactly this way. Traffic is the last step. And people always go to me, how come traffic is the last thing? I got to wait 8 months to get to traffic. Yeah, because chances are, dipshit, you didn't get all the other stuff sorted out. That's the truth of it. What you probably got is some dipshit affiliate offer, right? Some affiliate offer where you think everything's sorted out and all you got to do is send traffic. Okay? That's probably what you got. And so the super traffic machine, it isn't an accident that traffic is the last thing, because it is the last thing. That's when you say, hey, okay, guess you can arrive today. What are they going to arrive to? Think about it. What are they going to arrive to? The people who are afraid of their guest arriving to their landing page and then navigating away from their landing page because you put some navigation items on there. Dude, guess what? If you have done your job right, you have planned out every single item that you gave them to navigate as an option. And you figured out when they go to that page, what is going to happen. Sorry, it's not an accident. If I put an About Us link, a navigation link on my page that says About Us, here's an idea. Make sure your About Us page is complete. All right, you're not going to put it on there unless you have an About Us page. Figure out what your person who's arrived on your page wants to know about you. Why are they clicking this link? And then, after you've finished telling them about us, then where do you want them to go after that? You're not going to just leave them there. Here's our About Us page. That's it. What's next? Get them back to your order page. Get them back to your lead capture page. Right? If you've done that, then of course they're going to come back and convert. I put a privacy link in all of my opt-in pages. This is the correct way. I put disclaimer links. My privacy page, and this is what we teach you to do, my privacy page, my legal page, my terms and conditions pages, they're not legal pages. I didn't go to a lawyer and say, hey, give me this. I have legal pages to cover my ass with, and those are linked to. But my privacy page is a objection handling page. It's written in a sales format. Okay? What it is basically saying, okay, if you're clicking the privacy link, what do you want to know? How are you going to use my email? If I put my email in here, you're going to spam me? Right? And so I've planned that out. I've figured out what is going to happen when somebody gets to my privacy page. Right? Why are they clicking it? Who clicks a privacy page? I've seen people click it. I watch recorded sessions of my customers getting there, and they get to the form, the opt-in form, and they hesitate. They get there, their mouse hesitates. And they start to type their email address, then hang on a second. And then they read, and I see the mouse moving over the privacy statement. Sometimes they'll read it more than once. So if they're clicking that link, trust me, that is a person who wants to give you their email address, but they're wondering, are you going to spam me? Are you going to give my email address? Are you going to sell my email address to other people who are going to spam me? Am I going to be able to stop you from emailing me if I don't want to hear from you anymore? How often are you going to email me? These are some of the questions on their mind, right? How are you going to use my data? Why do you need to know my email address right now? And so on and so forth. Well, that is all stuff that you plan, and it doesn't happen easily. It doesn't happen overnight, okay? And that is why the Super Traffic Machine is a lengthy course, because it tackles everything. It doesn't gloss over stuff. It doesn't just tell you, oh yeah, just page, do whatever. Oh, you don't need to have any experience. You don't need to know anything. You don't need to have any skills. And then, okay, so what you do is, step 1, sign up to our system. Step 2, advertise our link all over social media. Your special link all over social media. Step 3, collect commissions. Yay! No, dipshit. That's not how it works. There's like a million steps in between to actually make that work. They glossed over all of the steps in between. That's what they did. They glossed over all of the steps in between. The Super Traffic Machine is a lengthy course because it goes over every single step. Is it all necessary? Do I seriously need to wait 8 months? Yeah. If you want to build a business that you can actually count on, that is going to actually work, it's going to take you 8 months. All right? When I have to do a campaign for a client, I first ask them to sign up with me, and they start their billing cycle the moment that we sign an agreement. This is the moment that we say, okay, we're going to work together. They start the billing cycle, and money starts coming out of their account into mine for that first month. Do you think that the first thing we do is go and turn on a traffic campaign? No, that's not how it works. Not if you want a successful campaign anyway. All right, anyone who comes to me thinking I'm just going to, okay, yeah, we're going to work with the page that I've got right now. This is already working on Facebook, whatever it is. Nobody ends up having that page work. So the first thing that we do is we figure out the landing page experience. The second thing is, of course, they've got all the other stuff worked out. They've got, and I ask about this before we even sign together. I'm like, okay, what do you do for backend? What's your front end product offering look like? How much money do you make on that? What upsells do you have? And I go through their process and I make sure that everything is there. And of course, if they're making money on Facebook, or they have any kind of success, like when they're coming to me, most of these people are not, starting out. They're people who are actually running the campaign successfully elsewhere, and then they want to get more traffic through Google. And so when they come, I'm checking everything to make sure that they have everything sorted out. And sure enough, they've done all of those steps. Do you think that happened overnight? It'll take us to plan out a good landing page for them before we can turn on the traffic between their team and mine, because I can't do everything for them. There's things that they have to provide. There's things that they have to design and so on. So it could take a couple of months, sometimes more than that, to get to the point where they are actually able to turn on a traffic campaign. I can put a campaign for them together I can put a campaign up in maybe 3-4 hours. Okay, I can have a good campaign up 3 to 4 hours, and that campaign I'll tweak it for a little bit for maybe half an hour a day for a few days, and then it's golden. Okay, so the traffic part isn't the hard bit. The hard bit is everything else that comes after. And trust me when I tell you that if this is what we're doing just to get to the point where I can send them Google traffic 2 to 3 months just to get a landing page together with their expert team and my expert team, what do you think has happened before that to get them to the stage where they have a sales page that converts? They have an email process. If they have, many of them don't. Unfortunately, that's part of the reason why it takes a little bit longer to get to the stage where we can actually send traffic. But the possibility to actually buy something and get to the point where they can actually begin then to sell them other stuff, that is not something that happens overnight. It takes a long time to put all of that stuff together in reality. So why do you think that you're going to come in today and you've got absolutely no experience at selling anything online? You've never made any money with anything, and you think that you're going to shortcut past all the stuff that all the experts are doing, all the people who are doing well, who are way more skilled than you are, they're doing, and it's still taking them a long time. And you think that, 8 months is way too long. Okay, well, let's see what you can do without it. Let's see how far you're going to get. Okay. With anybody who's telling you that you can do this in half a day, in a week, or whatever it is bullshit that they're spewing these days. Let's see how far you're going to get. How many stupid products you're going to buy for how long that are promising you that you're going to do it overnight, in a week, in a couple of days, 2 hours a day, whatever. It's going to be easy. It's going to be simple. Here are the simple steps. Let's see how long it takes you, really, how much money you end up spending on that bullshit. I can tell you, I've seen it numerous times. I have people on my mailing list who have been buying all the bullshit products that have ever come out, okay? And they come to me and they tell me, I've been in this business for the last 6 years. What have you been doing for 6 years? And they're still newbies. They've never sold anything. They've never had any success with anything, right? Look at yourself. There's a good chance that you're one of those people who's been at it for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. How do you think you're ever going to change this pattern of loss, of failure? If you're going to keep doing the same stupid things, chasing the same stupid dreams. All right? That's how long it takes you when you're chasing the shortcuts. It never happens because those shortcuts don't actually work. There is no shortcutting. Even the guys who are selling those shortcuts, they didn't put up their website in a day. They didn't build their entire process overnight. I know many of these guys personally, and I know for how long they struggled before they actually got to the point that they were like, okay, you know what? Here's how I'm going to scam people. So it takes work to figure out how to scam people. All right? So they get to the point where they're able to scam people, and even then, it takes a lot of work, time, investment, money, etc., etc., etc. Okay? It takes a lot to get even a scam up. So you may as well build something that's legitimate. And you may as well learn the skills that you need. And you may as well take it easy. Not take it easy meaning, but just take a step back and say, okay, you know what? Let it take 8 months. But let me do it right. Let me take 8 months to get it right. When you finish 8 months, you're going to look at this process for the first time in your life. You'll have all of the steps, every step that you need. Okay, all the steps that you need. Everything is there. It's completely planned. You know that when somebody gets to your page, if you can get them to fill out your form, to get onto your mailing list, and you can send out an email that will get them to go, hey, you know what, I think I might want this product, and they click your link, and they get to the page, the next page, and then they go through the process, and they check out, and they fill out their credit card details, and so on and so forth, right? And they get to the next page, you're going to be able to deliver a product to them. You're going to be able to upsell them. And then you'll be able to start to sell them more stuff. Okay? There are variables. As you notice, there are some variables. Oh, how am I going to get somebody to fill out my form? Yeah, that is one of the areas where you're going to have to maybe tweak so that you can, because you got to find that product market fit. Okay? You've got to figure out what you need to say to that market that is going to get them to fill out your form. Okay? But we get close to that. I give you a good approximation to that in the Super Traffic Machine. I help you find a really decent approximation to what that is so that you have a place where it's working, and then you can just narrow, like you can focus in on what that thing is that will work. Okay, so yes, there's going to be that, getting people to fill out your form, getting more people to fill it out. There's going to be the part where you have to send out emails and figure out how to get, like you've got to figure out the right messaging to say to people to get them to take action and actually visit your sales page with interest. Okay, there is that. That's true. Okay, but again, all of these things you're approximating very close to them to start with, and then you are counting on the fact that people are going to, you'll be able to focus that a little bit more as you go through. But the beauty of it is that you have a base structure where everything's been planned and everybody can walk. You know that a person arrives on your page, there is a direct path from arriving on your landing page to their ultimate purchase and their repurchase from you, that there is a path towards that. It's not interrupted. Okay, it's not a broken path. You have every step to put that in place. And it takes 8 months to put that together. I know people think, oh, I'm going to race through this. And sure, you could. I don't know that maybe you are fast, but I don't encourage it personally. And there is a way, by the way, I have had a few people who have been fast And I told them that there's a way to fast forward their subscription. So basically, if you finish the first manual in 2 weeks and you want to get the next one, go ahead and fast forward your subscription. You get the next one. You can move on. So you don't have to wait 8 months. But I am concerned when somebody is racing through the material, because I'm like, well, are you really getting everything put in place correctly? Did you really think about everything properly? Because once you finish that step, you're going to leave it behind you. You're not going to come back and work on it. You want to be able to leave it knowing it's working. Okay, it's just like when you're building something. If you've ever built a piece of IKEA furniture, you don't want to have to go back after you've built something and rebuild it. You don't want to have to undo it and figure out that you made a mistake and undo it and put it back together. It's just a pain in the ass. You finish one part and then you move on to the next part, and then those parts are put together, right? This is exactly how we build this. One step at a time. You build out this part, then you build out that part, and those pieces fit together. Okay, they cannot fit together. Sorry, you don't want to come back to it afterwards and be like, oh shit, now I got to take it apart because I did this part wrong. So I am definitely concerned when people are in a rush and they actually push through, and it's fine. You can do it. It's up to you. I don't know. Maybe you are fast. Maybe you are, your ideas are clearer or whatever. But I think that giving a month to each module, that's pretty good, especially if you're not full time. Anyway, so that's what I had to say. I know maybe I got a little bit excited here, but forgive me. Let me know what you think, and until the next video, take care.